Let's wait for a couple people to hop on here, and then we'll get going. Wonderful. Hey, everybody. Another day, another story, right? I hope everybody's doing well. I decided to hop on live today because I am sitting here with a friend of mine, a very talented nurse friend who has decided to come forward and just tell a few stories from within. I'm not going to put her face on the screen or say her name. We're just going to go by Jay, and we aren't going to get into any kind of what the media and everybody else like to spin as conspiracy theories. We're just going to stick to things that have happened within the hospital that she works. So like, comment, and share. Let's get the message out. If you have any questions, post them. I'll see if we can get to those, and away we go. So everybody, I want to introduce you to Jay. You won't see her face, like I said, but she's here to share her knowledge from within, and it's very important that we listen to what she has to say today. So, hi, Jay.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me. Seriously, it means a lot. Thank you.
Oh no, I the pleasure is all mine, because I'm telling you, you are what a warrior is all about, my friend. Morals, ethics, character, abiding by the oath that you swore, that kind of stuff. So let's kick it off. I'm gonna hand it over to you, and let's just start with what is happening.
Yes. So I want to start off by saying that I'm recently graduated nurse. I graduated last May, 2020. So I basically started off my career right straight into the pandemic. So I've been working in the hospital since August, and I work in a department. Basically, it's the overflow of the emergency department. So if I have patients that will be hospitalized short term or are awaiting beds on the other departments, they usually stay with us for a couple of days, or they usually go home. So my department is basically made up of what they call green, yellow, and red zone. The green zone is basically COVID-free. The yellow zone are usually patients who have symptoms similar to COVID and so are waiting results. And the red zone is basically COVID positive. It's rare that we do end up in the red zone. We usually transfer them to either the, what do you call that? The intensive care unit, or there's a specific area or department in the hospital that's reserved for COVID patients. So they keep those sections open for COVID patients only. So when I started my career, I really tried to keep an open mind. I already had my assumptions before going into the hospital, but I really tried not to be biased. I wanted to see things for myself. So I was really excited when I started working at the hospital. So in the beginning, I was really respecting the measures. So the employees all had to wear masks. We all have to wear protective eyewear at all times when we're with our patients. So I was respecting all that in the beginning because I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. And then I started realizing that I was just becoming very, very exhausted. Even like before my shift was ending, keeping a mask on for 8 hours is way too long. So I work night shift, and I'm able to get away with some stuff because of that, because there's less staff, there's no family, there's nobody basically to harass you at night. So one of the positive things was what I started doing actually was removing my mask when I was at the nurses station. While I was going through my dossiers, my patients' files, I was removing my mask because I realized I couldn't keep it on for 8 hours straight. It wasn't, I was becoming just extremely exhausted and drained. So I started doing that. I didn't really get into trouble in the beginning. And then I started, as the weeks went on, I started noticing some things that just weren't making sense, and I would question it. And I'm the type of person that if I don't understand something, just in general, I'll question it. So usually what I've learned in nursing school is that when you ask questions, it's a good thing. It shows that you're interested. It shows that you're developing your critical judgment, and nurses are extremely pressured into developing critical judgment. It's super, super, super important that we have our own judgment because we're with our patients 100% of the time compared to versus the doctors, right? So it's super important that we know our diseases, that we know our symptoms, and we develop our judgment over time. So with COVID, there was a lot of things that just weren't making sense. So for example, I had, okay, so in Quebec, the masks became mandatory July 27th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And what I noticed in the beginning, which was very strange, was that so my patients were coming in, none of the patients were obliged to wear masks on my department. I mean, they were all tested negative for COVID anyway, but there wasn't any fuss about patients wearing masks. It just started maybe about a month or two ago where the hospital was like, now we need to mask our patients, even if they tested negative for COVID. If they're going to be walking out of their bedrooms, out of their rooms, they need to wear their masks. So in the beginning, I was like, it's a bit strange. You're putting, so on average, our rooms can hold up to 2 patients per room, and they're separated by a curtain. And I just found it strange. I was like, at a grocery store, we have no symptoms. We're walking around. We have to wear a mask. But in the hospital, they're put aside next to somebody they've never met in their life, no masks. Why do I have to wear a mask? I don't have any symptoms. Why are we forced to wear masks in the grocery? Like it just wasn't making sense. And sometimes they would even have patients. So like I said, there's 2 patients in one room. So they would, if there was one of those 2 patients that were waiting a COVID result, they would separate it with a curtain. I was like, hey, so the virus can't, it's so airborne and everybody makes this big fuss, right? That it's big, scary virus. But here we are separating a curtain between 2 patients and we're waiting for a COVID result. Mind you, the patient was asymptomatic, but still there wasn't any logic that was going on.
There's no logic anywhere in this entire scenario.
No, right? There really, and as the time went on, it just got worse. So there would be times too where, so we have like a PPE coaches. So it's
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. How do you learn about PPE for people out there that do not know?
Oh, okay. So starting from nursing school, absolutely nothing. I mean, apart from learning how to put on a mask and how to put on a gown, we don't learn much, and neither do the doctors. We learn about PPE once we step into the hospital, and it's from these PPE coaches. So anything that is a contagious disease, it could be anywhere from like having certain bacteria. If let's say a person is having diarrhea and they have a certain bacteria in their stool sample, then there's certain protocols to follow. So you have to wear your gloves. You have to wash your hands before going in and coming out. You have to wear your gown. You have to wear certain eyewear sometimes, certain masks, depending what the pathology is. And so we don't have any training on that apart from when we step into the hospital. So what I found strange was that here we are, and we get reminders all the time. We'll have like 5-minute meetings in the mornings, and we'll have our PPE coaches, and they're like, we've seen some of you guys like Slack, you need to keep on your masks, or you need to wash your hands more often. So there's people out there that are watching us constantly to making sure that we're respecting our PPE protocols, which was fine. But then it made me think, we as nurses and doctors need these PPE coaches, right? In the hospital setting. How come, so I'm just trying to imagine the amount of people that are being told to wear masks when they go out, and they don't even have any kind of PPE training whatsoever. And I actually went as far as to check online, and they said that you can even make your own masks. So as long as it's 3 layers, you could make your own masks.
Right.
My brain.
Right. Yeah. And it's as long as it's like cloth or, in some cases, crochet.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's another thing too. In the hospital, there's specific masks for certain things, and people are outside wearing just regular cloth masks. Since when did cloth masks become acceptable from preventing you from getting a virus? Did you know that the surgical mask that we wear at the hospital, the virus is so small that it could actually still go through the surgical mask? So what makes you think that a cloth mask is going to save you from the virus? I couldn't.
It's like a soother. At this point, it's like a soother for some people. It's the fear. I understand the fear. I say this over and over. And you know what? By all means, make your own choice. Wear the bloody mask. I don't care. It's your life. But you do you. You let other people do them. End of the day, move on.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? The people that look into things independently, or people like yourself in the hospital, they understand this. The virus is smaller and can go through these masks. But as long as you're wearing it outside or in your car all by yourself, hey, good job. It's so ridiculous. It's it blows my mind.
Exactly.
It's a comfort device. That's all it is at this point.
Yeah, it's giving a false sense of security, and it makes it. I try not to get upset. I really am. I like you said. I understand the fear, but it's been over a year now, and clearly something's not working. So I'm just gonna leave that there. But I don't think it's right for people who have absolutely no education, no background, to be wearing masks when they have absolutely no idea. And even us as nurses, like I said, us nurses and doctors, we don't get that coaching in school. We'll get like maybe the basic, but we don't go into detail. We rely on our PPE coaches that are in the hospitals to do that for us. They give us our training. And how come we need training to work in a hospital setting, but there's all these people that are being outside and you're not in a hospital setting. There's no need for a mask. There needs to be some critical judgment on the general public and the nurses and the doctors that are in the hospital working. There has to be some kind of critical judgment. People need to start thinking.
And some people they're reaching out to the public, and they are, via Twitter or whatever, because mainstream media is not giving them a platform to voice this. Meanwhile, these are the people on the front line. These are the people dealing with the COVID patients. These are the people putting their lives at risk, yay or nay, take it or leave it, to help these people with a proper bedside manner. I'm going to make that really clear, because there's some people out there, that we've spoken with or heard about, that refuse to go into a room with a patient with COVID.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So how do you properly care for, or even assess a patient from outside the bloody door?
Yeah. So I spoke with one nurse at my hospital. We just randomly, I don't usually talk about COVID to anybody because I don't want to get into it. It makes me very upset. And I know everybody is pretty much indoctrinated. But for some reason, we just felt very open with each other. And so she goes, I see that you're very open. She's like, I'm going to share you something. But she goes, I don't want you to repeat it. So she told me she worked in the red zone for a little while. So she worked with COVID positive patients, and not in the intensive care unit. This is just like, they're basically waiting for like COVID to be over, and so that they can be either transferred back to their old folks homes. I don't remember the English proper terms for that. What do you guys call them again?
The long-term care?
Yeah, long-term care homes. So she was working with these COVID positive patients, and She said that the doctors weren't even going into the rooms. They were relying on the evaluations of the nurses, and that the orderlies who are responsible to feed the patients, to bathe them, just fulfill their basic needs, weren't even going into the rooms themselves. So let's say out of 4 orderlies during the day, maybe only 1 would go into the rooms. And so these patients were slowly dying, basically, because they were didn't have enough food, or they weren't getting enough water. And because they were older, they were elderly, you know, their bodies are much more frail, so they're dealing with the virus, and on top of it, they're not getting enough water, they're not getting enough food, they're not getting any human contact. So she said that she saw a lot of patients suffer because of that. And so she would try to voice her opinion. She even told me that she lied in her nursing notes, which is absolutely illegal. But she goes, I didn't know what else to do. She said the doctors were getting upset with me every time I would try to either suggest or change things, or, you know, just speak out for the patient. So that raised huge. I mean, I've heard about all that, right? We've heard it. I've seen videos. Yeah. I don't watch the mainstream media, but I've seen nurses speak out. I've seen doctors speak out, you know, but it's another thing to have to hear it from somebody that you work so closely with. I knew all of that. When I heard it from her, I said, oh shit, like, okay, this isn't just YouTube videos that I'm watching. Like, this is actually stuff that's happening. And
in Canada.
In Canada. In Canada, we're not even in the States. No. I know the States is probably 1,000 times more corrupt, but I couldn't believe my ears. I said, okay, so this is actually really, and you know, and I have to say this because it really gets me upset. So all these people that are like, oh, you don't wear your mask, or you're being selfish, you're not getting vaccinated, you're being selfish. You know who's selfish? The orderlies and the doctors and all the staff that didn't go into that room to look after that patient. Those are
this is what you signed up to do.
Exactly.
This is what you signed up to do.
Exactly.
And,
how can you, as a nurse, as a doctor, as an orderly, be scared of a sick person when your job is to take care of sick people?
Yeah. And you got your mask on.
And you got your mask on, right? Because your mask is going to protect you. So what are you so afraid of? Like, it blows my mind, the amount. And even till today, there's people that are absolutely freaking out. I had so one of my patients, actually, no, she wasn't even my patient. I was helping out one of my colleagues who was also a brand new nurse. She recently graduated like 2 months ago. And she told me, she goes, Jess, she's like, do you mind if you come help me with one of my patients? She's not doing well. I didn't know that this patient was a nurse. She was a nurse in my hospital who was working in the intensive care unit with COVID positive patients. So I went there to see the patient, and I was completing my evaluation. She said she was having difficulty breathing and she was having chest pain. And she's a young lady. So I looked into her file quick. I was like, hey, she doesn't have any cardiac history. She doesn't have any heart problems. She's known for anxiety. They did what do you call that? EKG, electrocardiogram. And that one came back normal. Her vital signs are normal. I asked her, I said, okay, do you want me, because she was laying down flat on her back. So I said, okay, we'll lift up the head of the bed to help you breathe. I said, does that help? And she said, a little bit. I said, you can take off your mask. If you're having difficulty breathing, I said, please take off your mask. You need to breathe. And she goes, no. She's like, I want to keep my mask on. And I saw the fear in her eyes. But again, I still didn't know that she was a nurse. I had absolutely no idea. So I said, you know what, just to rule out a possible heart problem, I'm going to call for another EKG just to be extra safe that her heart is functioning properly. So I called for an EKG. Everything was fine. And then I had the assistant take over because I had to attend to my own patients, right? So the assistant came over and she goes, you know, she's a nurse, right? In the intensive. And I said, oh my God, no, I have no idea. And she said she's extremely anxious. She thinks that she has COVID and she's completely stressed about it. So her
Oh,
chest pain and her difficulty breathing is all related to her anxiety.
yeah.
That broke my heart because I don't know. I don't want to talk because I don't know what it's like to work with COVID positive patients. And my heart goes out to the patients as well as the team who actually really do care for these patients.
Yeah.
And I don't know what she's been through. So it did break my heart a little bit to see her react that way. But at the same time, I'm like, shit, like people are just afraid. Everyone is so afraid. The general public, the hospital staff, like you, I just, I don't know. I was very
My
affected.
heart breaks for them. My
Yeah.
heart really does break for them. And I know they are all heroes. They really, really are. Um, I mean, people come from different backgrounds and ways of thinking, and I get that, and that's
Mhm.
all great, you know. But there needs to be a discussion.
Yes.
There needs to be something had
Mhm.
from people on one side of the fence versus people on the other side of the fence. It's the only way we evolve from this because what's going on now is not freaking working.
No, it's clearly not working. And I don't know why it hasn't rung some bells in people's heads. I don't know what else needs to be said, what else needs to be done, how much further this has to go for people to start realizing that what they're doing is not working. And just going back on your comment about heroes. So, like I said, I don't think every I don't think poorly of every nurse and every doctor. I really
No.
believe that they actually are trying their best and
Yeah.
they're really coming from a good place. However, that was another thing that really stuck out to me even before I started working at the hospital is that I was seeing all these TikTok videos of like all the nurses and the doctors coming out and making all these TikTok videos. And there was one that really um, like that one, I felt like I got slapped in the face. There was one, I don't know if you saw it, but they were carrying like a dead body. Like one of the staff members was pretending to act like a dead body. They had
Yes.
somebody like on their shoulders. And I said, shit. And these are the kind of people we're calling heroes. It
Yeah.
completely offended me. I was like, I didn't even start my career yet as a nurse. And these people who have this career are and supposed to be looking after people are doing these kind of videos. This is the pandemic that we're living in. TikTok videos. There's time to make TikTok videos, and on top of it, of COVID patients who
Be
are
so overworked. Yeah. Let me ask you something. Is where you are working, is it overrun?
okay. So in the emergency, no, but in the other departments, yes. And in the other departments, it's not COVID patients. It's just the general public who's sick with just regular diseases, diabetes, cancer. Not I'm really not minimalizing. I'm not minimizing the problems, but just yes, there is an over like there always has been. It hasn't changed. There's
But
always
is
been
it
an
COVID
overflow.
related?
No, it's not COVID related. So I spoke with, there's a coordinator of the hospital that comes by to check up on us every night. And I had asked him a couple of weeks ago, I said, just out of curiosity, I said, how many COVID patients are in our hospital? And our hospital is pretty big. And he goes, 23. And I said,
Did they come in with COVID? Or you
probably,
don't
yeah.
know?
I don't know 100%, but they test everybody that comes in. Anybody that comes in through the emergency, they get tested for COVID. So the emergency is considered red zone because we don't know who we're taking in, right?
Right.
But when he said 23 patients, I was like, 23 patients in the entire hospital were considered red zone because of 23 patient. Like I don't. This is how is this a pandemic? There's more patients with cancer. There's more patients with cardiac problems. There's more patients with liver problems. There's more patients who have drinking issues and drug abuse than 23 COVID patients. I was like, this
Yeah.
is what we're calling a pandemic. I'm like, okay. Oh, and another thing, what I noticed, I didn't know this, right? Because I'm like a brand new nurse. But so there's testing for the flu. And I
I
was
was just
talking,
going to bring that up. Yeah.
yes. So
Talk to me about flu cases.
there's none, right? So I don't know if you know our doctor, our famous Dr. Aruda. He had said, "Oh, the flu. There's no flu this year. It's gone." And I said, "No way, people are gonna believe this shit. No way. Like you can't just like the flu just doesn't go away.
Some
You
people buy this.
you really like you really honestly like you really can't like you anyway." So I think 2 3 days later, a coordinator, right? He comes to check up on us, and he goes, there's no more flu. And I looked at him, and I was gonna say something, and I said, no, I'm just gonna shut it because I'm gonna get in trouble. And he goes, yeah, with like the proper hand washing and mask wearing, the flu just disappeared. I was like, this
But
guy's an idiot.
COVID's overrun.
Yes,
Okay, hypocrite.
yeah. I'm like, oh my God. So people in the hospital are actually believing this shit that the flu just happened to disappear. No way. No way. So my blood was boiling like the whole rest of my shift. I said, no way people believe this. And then I was talking with my colleagues one night and I told them this. And they said, well, the doctors stopped testing for the flu. And I said, wait a second. We have a test for the flu? And they're like, yeah. I said, oh shit. Like I never noticed this. I never noticed that. So then I started noticing not one test for the flu. They're testing for COVID left, right, center, from every possible direction, but no tests for the flu. Why are we not testing for the flu? No wonder the flu statistics are low. Nobody's testing for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you get more funding for every COVID code, do you not?
So I can't say that for sure. I
can say that for sure from another nurse that I've spoken with. Yeah, I believe in long-term care it was $16,000 per.
Oh, per COVID patient? Yeah, I've heard 13,000, but I thought you were referring to the COVID testing because I've heard that the hospitals do get paid for COVID testing. I just can't be the person to confirm that because I really have no idea.
No, and we don't want you to if just the facts that you've seen. That's all. Yeah. That's it, right? We're not gonna go over or under anything like that. What I want to talk about, and we're gonna get to some of these stories because you've told me these and my mind is blown. But I want to talk about why no doctor or even nurses out loud are talking about prevention, unless they're the nurses that are already in trouble. And those are good friends of mine that I love dearly. Canadian frontline nurses, phenomenal warriors. Yes. Go check out their page if you can. Kristen and Sarah, amazing. And the other 20 ladies that are attached to them, check them out. Sorry, why are we not talking about prevention within the hospital?
I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. Nobody brings this shit up. I was talking about it with colleagues and I said, have you guys noticed that like nobody's talking about getting enough sleep, staying hydrated, eating well, getting some exercise, getting some sun? How come nobody's talking? And they're like, yeah, it's true. I never noticed. It's like, oh my goodness, why is like nobody's questioning anything? It's literally stay home, isolate, quarantine, wear your mask, get vaccinated. Like, I swear nobody thinks outside the box. And I didn't even know this box needed to be so like nobody. I'm sorry. I have
it's a government-run box now. That's the problem. The doctors have been taken over by the government. So it's do as we say or beat it. But do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I still don't get it. And they come up with like these they didn't even come up with it. Okay. These words always existed. Asymptomatic, variants. They're scaring people like on top of just saying, stay home, don't see your family, don't see your friends, wear your mask, get vaccinated. On top of it, they're like, you can be asymptomatic and there could be variants. Yo, man.
What's the layman term? What's the layman term?
Oh my goodness. So variants. Yes. So variants are just, yes. Okay. Yes. So asymptomatic just means you're healthy. It just means you're healthy. Like, I don't understand why everybody is going so crazy over this asymptomatic word. It's absolutely crazy. And then the variants. People are getting scared with the word variant. People need to know, if they haven't known this already, the flu is a perfect example. Variants is another word for mutation.
Yeah. Which
Viruses
happens
mutate.
naturally.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. And
Um,
how do we fight this off?
just taking care of yourself. Just
Mhm.
taking care of yourself and being mindful. And if you do happen to get sick, whether it's a cold or the flu or anything, you stay home, right? I mean, I've always done that. Every time I've been sick, I don't go exposing myself to other people. I don't wouldn't, and even if it's just a cold, like I don't want to be responsible of getting somebody else sick. That was just my personal way of going about it. But that was another thing too. So me personally, I've still been seeing my family. I've still been seeing my friends. I really, my lifestyle hasn't changed. I come home and I shower from work. I don't know. It's a new thing for people. Some people just don't shower when they come home from work. I've always showered. I've always washed my hands. I've always disinfected my phone. I've always had proper hygiene. I don't understand why people need to be told that they need to wash their hands now. You come back from the grocery store, wash your hands. There's so many hands and germs. And I've been taking bus and metro. I took that bus and metro for like 15 years. Yeah, you get sick once in a while, but I mean, it's not the end of the world, right? It's not, the whole world doesn't need to be shut down for a virus. Viruses mutate, they're known to mutate.
But the problem is it's the invisible enemy, right?
Yeah, because of the fear.
It's the invisible enemy, and people, what once used to be a diagnosis of hypochondriac is what they're turning the entire population into, or what they're trying to turn the population into, which is causing a divide between the people that know and take responsibility for their health and the people that don't know and are terrified of dying.
Yeah.
Right? So hypochondriac.
Yeah, I know a few people that have turned into they were already before, but now it's like 1,000 times worse. They are hypochondriacs now. Like it's gotten really, really bad. People I just need to, and people need to know that fear is not good for their immune system. Staying inside is not good for your immune system either. Like, how come there's no link? I mean, like I said, I'm like a newly graduated nurse. I don't have that many years of experience. But how don't you make the connection between staying home in your own little bubble is actually suppressing your immune system? Our bodies are made of bacteria. We have so much bacteria. We have so much germs on our body to begin with. Our bodies are made for that. We have immune systems. And why don't people think about, maybe I should take care of myself? Maybe I should take care of my immune system. It will decrease your chances of getting sick in general. Forget about the coronavirus. Forget about COVID-19. Just in general. You know, it astonishes me. It's I don't know.
I know. It's absolutely ridiculous. How about, are you guys being pushed to get the vaccine where you are?
I'm not.
Crazy?
No, they bring it up quite often. They're like, oh, if you guys want to get vaccinated, send me an email, we'll set up a date. So they keep bringing it up. But I just ignore it. I haven't been harassed yet. I did speak to one nurse, actually. She has like 25 years experience, and she's an amazing human being and an amazing nurse. And so she had asked me one day, we were walking in the parking lot going home, and she goes, so did you get your vaccine yet? And I said, no. And she goes, are you going to get it? And I said, no. She goes, do you want to tell me why you're not getting it? And I said, no. Like, I really didn't want to talk about it because I don't want to be labeled as crazy or conspiracy theory or any of that stuff. So she goes, just humor me, like, just tell me why you don't want to get the vaccine. And I said, well, look, up to date. And it was like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 months that I was working there. I said, up to date, I've seen a lot of things in the hospital that don't make sense. There's a lot of things that I don't agree with. And so because of that, I just decided not to get the vaccine. So I left it at that. And she was actually listening to me, and she agreed. So I know she agreed with me on certain topics. But I kept it like very superficial. I didn't go deep.
Well, yeah. And respect is key too, right? Like,
exactly.
people don't listen to understand anymore. They listen to reply,
Yeah,
right? So it's constant defense, and that's, I feel, where our society has taken a turn for the worst.
yeah,
That's why we're not learning anything, because the media is telling us one thing and repeating it so often
yeah,
that people are just repeating that because now they think they're right. But people need to stop and take a step back
yeah,
and
and
start hearing what people are saying. Like, your concern is legit,
yeah.
but I mean, their concern is legit as well. I mean, that's how they're brought up. That's how they think. That's whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
but the thing I noticed though is that in the beginning, I don't know if it was the same in Ontario, but they were putting up videos through the Quebec website saying, you shouldn't be wearing masks. Like Dr. Aruda had said, don't be wearing masks if you're not sick. Only sick people should wear masks, and we should
yeah,
save our masks for the
the hospital.
hospital. Yeah, and now it's completely opposite. They keep going back and forth, and I'm like, how come people are not waking up? They're like, it's literally right in front of your face. They keep going back and forth.
It's a marketing campaign.
Yeah.
If this was a pandemic of
Mhm.
any sort, it would not require a marketing campaign. It
Exactly.
would not require constant bombardment on the radio, on the TV, on the side of a bus, on a freaking bench waiting for a bus, anything. It
No,
wouldn't. And you know
no.
what didn't hit was China when it first came out, and they were dropping in the street, or so everyone thought. As soon as it came here, and that didn't happen, and no one was dying within their house, just within the hospital, that's when we should have known.
Yes. Well, okay. So just to bring up China, just for like 2 seconds,
Yeah.
they were wearing masks way long before this coronavirus hit. They were
Yeah.
obsessed with wearing masks. Did that
Yeah.
save them from any virus? No, it didn't. And it's still not clicking in people's heads that the mask is not going to save you. You need to take care of yourself. The mask is not there to protect you. It's anyway, I'm going to go into conspiracy theories that people are going to
No, we're not. We're going to rein it in. We're going to
Yeah.
rein it in. And I'm pretty sure in China too that a lot of them wear it for the pollution.
Yes.
You know? So, and that's where that stems from. I'm sure some of them are, for germs and whatever their belief is. And that's fine. Whatever. You do you. Just don't tell me how to do me.
Exactly. I think that's what helps me the most.
Yeah. So going over these vaccines, and this is just a generalized question from me. What did you learn in school with regards to vaccines? Are you taught massive quantities? Are you taught anything of any kind of specifics? Like, what do you learn?
Do you want the honest answer?
I only want honest answer.
Absolutely nothing.
How much training did you get on it?
Not very much. And I'm not very much. I mean, like between my biology class and my sorry, I have to translate it from French to English. So my biology class and my, I guess, promotion of health class, we didn't get much talk about vaccines. And I was actually super excited to learn about vaccines because I said, okay, now I'm going to get my education, right? Now I'm going to know for sure if vaccines are good or not. And after my class, I was like, I didn't learn much. I basically, like, I could have just Googled whatever they told me. I'm like, I can't believe that as a nurse, as a future nurse, this is what we're learning. So I didn't ask any questions during my class because I didn't want to be labeled as an what do you call that? Anti-vaccine?
Anti-vaxxer?
Yeah, I didn't want to be labeled as that.
Because that's what questions do.
Exactly.
That's
right?
so pathetic. It's so pathetic.
So I didn't want to bring up anything. I just said, I'm just going to close my mouth, and whatever I learn. And I'll base it on my own judgment later. So I didn't ask any questions. I was too worried to be judged to ask questions. But there was one student who had said, what happens if your patient or the parents of the patient are worried about adverse reactions. And the nurse, the teacher, had said word for word, "Oh, it's very rare." I was completely shocked because I've seen videos of moms speaking out of their child or their children having these horrible reactions after the vaccine, and obviously you won't see it on the news, right? You won't see that kind of stuff.
Well, I can tell you alone, and I work with the Vax team, and within the last 2 years, I have heard from thousands and thousands of parents with vaccine injured children. And, they say, I wish I had listened to you. I trusted what they told me. And now our family is paying for it,
Yeah.
And God forbid. So
it's so sad.
It's not rare when thousands of people are messaging you to tell you their story, and only a few people want to come on camera and actually tell the story. I get that. The labeling is ridiculous. The people with alternative views can be horrid and ridiculous.
Yeah, and they're very convincing too, to get the vaccine. And I know for a fact, because I worked in research before I went into nursing, and I worked with a lot of med students, so they were going into to study to become doctors. And I had asked them, like, what is your background on like vaccines? And they're like, not much. The doctors don't know anything, and neither do the nurses. Like we're taught, okay, so there's a vaccine for this virus, there's a vaccine for this sickness. If you get it, well, then you decrease your chances of not getting the disease at all. That's basically all we're taught in school. So it's all about, they promote vaccines as a prevention. And you know what? I don't know enough to say yes or no. I'm very open. I look at things from both sides. And I just have this feeling inside me that I can't shrug off. I'm not going to be that nurse that's going to be like, go ahead, you should get that vaccine because, that's what I was taught in school and it'll prevent your child from getting sick. I think parents should definitely do their research because nurses are not equipped to give you all the information possible. Neither are the doctors. I don't think it's fair to be putting that kind of pressure on nurses and doctors to be encouraging vaccines. It's
one
not,
size doesn't fit all.
No, it really doesn't, and just to give you an example, we have a book of medications, and of this book of medications, we have side effects. Those side effects are written in that book. It's not like that for vaccines. We don't do that at school, and we don't do that at the hospital. And it's not really 100%. Yeah, and it's not 100% informed consent when the vaccine companies are not held responsible if something should happen. People don't know that. I didn't even know that.
Oh, yeah, I know that. But the only education you're going to get on vaccines thoroughly is by pulling out the insert within the box that they refuse to give you now at the doctor's office. Right?
Yeah,
that's the only thing with all of them listed. That's it.
We were never shown the vaccine inserts. Never.
Were you told about adverse reactions?
No, just that they're rare. So they would say like the reactions that they would bring up, and they would go to the Quebec government website about vaccines, and the teacher had us printed out, and they're like, okay, so the adverse reactions are like you get soreness on your arm, or you might get a fever. Worst case scenario, you'll have like you'll go into anaphylactic shock because some people do have allergies. So that's why we tell patients to stay 15 minutes after the vaccine because they could have their anaphylactic shock. It's usually within 15 minutes. So that's basically all we're told. We're not told anything more. I just didn't feel, I was like, shit, after that class, I'm like, that's all I'm learning? And I'm supposed to be telling people to get their vaccine when I clearly not convinced myself. Like there's nothing to it. And there's so many people that I graduated with and I know are like super pro-vaccine, but I was like, you guys don't even have all your information. You don't even have all your information. How can you be okay with administering something where you don't even have all the knowledge?
Yeah.
So I find that very scary.
It is. It really, really is. And I mean, case in point, and we know the new jab is not approved for use. You can
No.
find that in the insert itself. The trials run until 2023. This is
Yep.
not a conspiracy theory. They are only approved for emergency use authorization,
Yep.
or whatever it's called. That is it. That is not approval. AstraZeneca has been kicked out of 26 countries already. But our government scooped those 2 million up and brought them here and said, any jab is a good jab, just get it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. And if you look
Johnson
up
and Johnson,
yep,
again, kicked out for blood clots. But we're going to take that. Hey, Canada. Hey,
yep,
come on in.
Why not?
No. So now we've got Pfizer, and their main adverse reaction is mainly the seizures and stuff, right? So when are people going to learn? Like, this is not, there's no oh gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? Now I'm losing words, Jay. They're just, yeah, no, the word's gone. Sorry.
It's okay. I wish I could help you.
Yeah, no. It's like a superhero.
There's no critical thinking.
No, but it has to do with the fear base, right? And I don't know. I don't know
either. I've given up. I whoever I speak to, whoever wants to get the vaccine. I mean, I tried to get the information out there, but I'm like, you know what? I can't. My job is not to convince you you have to make a decision for yourself. And if you feel right getting vaccinated, go right ahead. I can't force you to do anything. It's not my job to force people.
Yeah. Invincibility. That's the word I was going to go.
No, invincibility.
Isn't that ridiculous?
Yeah.
Invincibility. People feel invincible. They think if I've got it, hey, I did my part. I protect society. Meanwhile, nobody even knows what's coming. Like, does it shed? Does it not shed? You've got different views on that, different theories, different whatever. We're still waiting on the answer. We don't know. But I mean, we're watching people drop left, right, and center.
Okay, so that's the thing. We're watching people drop left, right, and center.
But it's safe.
It's safe, but it's not on social. It's not on the mainstream media, right? They're not going to show that on the media. So people, and I think even if you did, I don't know. I just get this feeling that people.
Oh, here we go. They're going to cut us out.
Are
now.
So desperate, and they actually believe that. I think even if you show them right in their face that, look, this is proof that people are dropping dead, that people are having really bad adverse reactions, people are just going to be like, well, I want my life back to normal. I'm just going to get it. I'm just going to get it, and that's it. It'll be over with.
And guess what's even worse about this? Because there's no liability, they're already shielded from that.
Yep.
There is no urgency to create a safer one. They don't care.
No, because we're in an emergency. We're in an emergency pandemic. People are dropping down like flies.
Yep. Yep.
And speaking of flies, I forgot to tell you, I was going into the hospital one night to go into work, and there was a dead fly in my mask.
Ew.
Yeah, you know, like those.
Where did you get your mask from?
At the hospital. The security guard. We have security. Oh yeah, that's what I have meaning to tell you. So we have security guards at each entrance. And so they come in. We come in and they take our temperature, and they put on a mask the second we get in. And the security guard hands me my mask, and I was like, "There's a fly in." Like it was dead. It was like those like little fruit flies. And I was like, "There's a fly in my mask." And he goes, "Really?" And I'm like, "Well, look." And he goes, "Oh." I'm like, "Yeah." "Oh." I'm like, "Now I'm supposed to put it on my face. Like now I'm supposed to just grab another mask. Now I'm supposed to feel super safe to be putting on a mask that just anyway."
Hypocritical everywhere. This is
So the security guards, I feel bad for them because they don't really know anything, and you know, they're just doing their job because that's what they're told to do. But so their job is
repeat the narrative. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I can't imagine doing that job every day. So they control the amount of people coming in, and they'll take your temperature, and but even if you have a fever, they'll let you in regardless. So we're told as staff, hospital staff, you're not supposed to come in if you have any symptoms. So fever, cough, sore throat, anything COVID related. So you can't come in if you have any of those symptoms. And the whole point of taking your temperature, that if you have a fever, you need to go back home. You can't come to work and, possibly infect other people. And they were still letting people in with fevers. They don't have the knowledge. They don't have the education. And they're just, everything is backwards. Like, it's backwards. There's no logic.
It's a marketing campaign to make things look a certain way, and they're not. It maintains control. It allows public health the ability to run rampant with their dictatorship without actually looking at who is being harmed. Like, we understand over the age of 60 has a higher mortality rate with this. We understand that. But look at the number of kids. The suicide rate has skyrocketed. The overdoses have skyrocketed. Like, so many more people have died because of the measures than of this virus. COVID, and it's sad.
Yeah.
It's so sad. Like, and I, I'm not taking away from anybody who's had a family member who has died of COVID, whether it be, the underlying issue or not. That's not what I'm here to do. We have to take a look at the bigger picture.
Yes.
And we have to solve things for the bigger, the bigger picture of the country. Like, these kids are suffering. We know kids are not, contracting COVID and spreading it around the school. We know that.
Yeah.
But they flip-flop it constantly.
Yeah, they're constantly changing the narrative, constantly. And again, people are just not seeing it. I'm like, how do you not see it? It changes every single day. One day you wear a mask, one day you don't wear a mask. Oh, now you need to wear 3 masks. Why 3 masks? Why stop at 3? Why not wear 10? Like, there's no logic. The masks. Okay, so this is another thing that I learned in school. So in school, the surgical masks are good for, if I remember correctly, I could be wrong, but they're good for like a certain number of hours. I don't remember the amount of hours, but they're good for a certain amount of hours. And then you're supposed to chuck it and put on a new mask. And I learned in school, and even during my internship, at one point I had a cold and I was on the surgical unit. And my teacher's like, you're going to have to wear a mask. Like, you can't be, next to your patients with a runny nose and a cough or, and I said, oh yeah, for sure. So I put on my mask. Now, is it going to be 100% effective? Maybe not. But I mean, I have proper manners. I'm not going to cough in my patient's face. I'm going to change my mask when it needs to be changed. People need to know that the masks are not there they should not be used outside of the hospital setting ever. It's not meant to be used outside of the hospital. It's mainly for inside the hospital. Why? To protect us and to protect our patients. There's a reason why we wear masks in the hospitals. There's a reason, and people need to know that these reasons are valid in the hospital. Outside the hospital, it doesn't apply. You have a cold, you stay home. You cough in your arm. You sneeze in your arm. Wash your hands. Like, it's just simple, basic, like,
common sense.
And common sense. Yeah, common sense. There's no common sense. No. There's none left. And going back to, because I did have a few patients come in, and it was very sad because I had a lot of elderly people at one point coming in with anxiety problems, depression. I had one man who didn't even want to leave the hospital because he was living alone. His family wasn't coming to see him because of COVID. They were too scared to give him COVID. And so because he was getting attention at the hospital, because he was seeing people at the hospital, he didn't want to leave. He wanted to stay at the hospital, and his daughters were aware of his situation, and neither of them said, well, come stay with me, And it was during the holidays, especially. Like, he was just very anxious, and he didn't want to be going into his long-term care home because he would have to do another 2 weeks of quarantine in his long-term care home during the holidays. So again, he'll be by himself. So I've spoken to patients where they have drinking problems, and they're like, yeah, I started drinking during the pandemic. There's people that are drinking more, consuming more.
Because that's essential.
Oh my God, that's another thing too. Oh my God, like
It's so dumb. It's so dumb. Like,
the
I have to
alcohol
laugh.
stores
It's
were
very
open.
serious.
Yes, it is serious. But you laugh at one point because you don't know what to do
It's
anymore.
stupid.
Yeah, the alcohol stores are open.
Yeah.
You know, everything else is open. Costco, the big stores are open, but like little mom and pop shops, those places, for sure you're gonna get COVID. For sure.
Yeah.
The masks are 100% effective, but in the mom and pop shops, they're not.
Yeah.
In Costco, Walmart, the alcohol stores, that was another thing too. I said, shit, people are really not, like, they're trying everything they can to really ruin your immune system.
Timothy says the strip clubs are even open. Well, you can still golf too, right? But hey, you know what? It's outdoor. Yeah, Walmart, strip clubs, all kinds of ridiculous stuff. But you can't go buy tampons, women.
No, apparently not. It's not essential.
Right. It's so bizarre.
Yeah.
Doug Ford can get a haircut, but none of the rest of us can.
Oh, no. That's very true.
Oh man. Anyways, we're coming up to an hour. Do you have anything else you want to share? I don't want to keep you all day. I know I mean, everything you've provided us is so valuable. So I can't thank you enough. And we encourage other nurses to come
I
forward.
did have a few other stories, but that could be
that
could be for another time. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's not I don't mind sharing another time. But I just want people to just stop being afraid. Just go ahead and live your life, and you know, yes, take your precautions, and you know, like anybody would. Just not being afraid. Just go ahead and see your family and your friends, and stop wearing your masks because they're not good outside the hospital.
Right.
Right. So yeah, I'm just I'm hoping that, like, by sharing more stories with other nurses too, that people will slowly, eventually wake up a little bit and realize that this isn't about a virus, and you know, we need to take care of ourselves.
Yep. 100%. Thank you so much.
And definitely to go visit the frontline nurses. I'm so happy that I joined them. They're amazing, smart, intelligent. They're like the definition of critical thinking. So thanks to them, like I would feel so alone if it wasn't for them. They're super amazing, and everybody should support them. So
they're doing amazing work, and they're sticking up for what their oath actually means. Like, I'm begging of professionals that do take an oath, please reread that, and please recommit yourself to what it actually means.
Yeah.
People need you. People are craving information and just truth and morals and ethics, not governmental ethics and morals, actual human morals and ethics. So do the right thing, guys. I know you're all heroes in my book, regardless. You know, to each their own, but it's just worth having the truth out there. The truth, and truth resonates with humanity. So stop listening to the propaganda.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Stop listening to mainstream media. Right? Oh my goodness. It's horrible. It's horrible. It's just, it's not good to be living in fear. Just take care of your immune systems the best way you think you can, and just live your life. I find it very sad. I had one of my friends too who said they haven't seen their grandparents in almost a year. And I was like, just go see them. I said, God forbid something would happen to them. You would have totally regretted not seeing them earlier, all because of a virus. Like, just go. They live their life. They're not scared of a virus. They want to see their family. You know, they want to be with their family and their friends with whatever time they have left. Like, we need to look after our elderly people. They need love, and it's just,
and it's funny because even with the elderly, you know, they at that age, they should be able to make up their own bloody mind, long-term care or not. I mean, you can have part of it closed off, and you can have another part open to the people that aren't afraid. You know, it's not hard to isolate. We've all seen that. We've all seen that. So you can take half and the other half,
Mhm.
right? These people have
Exactly.
reached an age where they should be able to call their own shots and tell you whether they're afraid of a virus named after a beer, for God's sakes.
Right?
You
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
just, oh my gosh. Anyways,
People need to
it's
think
not named after the beer. I'm just trying to, but before I get the trolls on here going, oh, she says it's named after a beer. Thanks, friends. Thanks. What else was I going to say? Oh, Freedom for Truth conference happening tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Jump on, make your number count. You can find it at thefreedomorg.ca under Join the Call, or our Facebook page, The Freedom Organization, or our YouTube channel, The Freedom Organization. We have Dr. Rashid Buttar coming on tomorrow, which should be amazing, as well as Mr. David Icke. So join us tomorrow. Make your number count if you are part of this resistance that needs to, this whole thing needs to end. So if you are terrified to go to any of these rallies, come on in, make your number count. We want to find ways to empower you, educate you and at the same time allow you to take action, even though we know you can't show up to the rallies. This is not to replace rallies. This is, part and parcel of. So join us tomorrow. Every number counts, the analytics count, and then run the polls, do the poll, and help us have your voice heard, Anyways, thank you so much, Jay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Hopefully we'll get to chat again shortly, and yeah, we'll do another update.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And thank you for everyone listening. It really means a lot.
You're awesome. You're absolutely awesome. You are the epitome of what healthcare workers should be. You really are.
Thank you so much.
From the bottom of my heart. Have a great day, everybody. Like, comment, and share. We're being censored clearly because I can see the reactions. Anyways, have a good day. Love to you all. Be good to one another, and just respect. Have respect. I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.